So the big thing that I see quite a lot of, and I want to throw my kind of 2 pence in on this, is just how to naturally win in this game. It's not necessarily a difficult game, and I think there's multiple ways that you could actually do this. So online's a little bit more difficult. You do have got well, you've got a few different modes that you can go with: the beater and chaser, you've got the keeper and chaser, and then the seeker and chaser. So there is definitely a few different modes online, and it definitely depends on how good your team is. And for instance, if I was going for a exhibition match or going into, for instance, the campaign, then obviously it's going to depend on what your strengths are and also what level you're going on to as well, to be fair to it. So when you've got everybody, so you've got your chaser, your seeker, your beater, and your keeper, the best way I found is to do a little bit of two. You don't necessarily want to be going all out on one. Like the keeper, as long as it's relatively decent, to be honest, you're pretty decent at just being able to hold it anyway. So for instance, managing to keep your defense on lock is going to be massive. You can see here the keeper's going to actually save that, and I don't have to worry about it. So we've got the incoming pass, and being able to kind of, oh, I didn't miss that. Okay, nice, catch that back, get a little bit of a roll. Looking for your teammates here is going to be absolutely massive. The beater is huge. Going to go, and that's a great save from the opponent. But also then changing. So for instance, if you wanted to just play the keeper, I think it's a decent role, but most definitely you are better off without it if you are just not very good at keeping in general. One of the best positions that you can play for almost a computer to do most of the stuff is the beater. The beater is a cracking role because obviously you can then go ahead and almost make the plays just work that little bit more in your favor. So you can see, for instance, if we, where is he gone? So we can see obviously he's got the ball. You can whack him, or at least no, he's got the ball in fact. You can whack him and you can make sure that he drops that ball, giving your chance your teammates to actually get the ball back without actually having to tackle themselves. So that's really good, and you can offer the support as well. Naturally, the beater of their team can do the exact same. You want to be stunning anybody that's kind of holding your person hostage and maybe kind of going to tackle them before they manage to get to the hoops. So that is a very, very important role. Plus, you could take out the goalkeeper, or you could take out, obviously, the seeker himself. So we see there, got a good stun on the ball, and we can kind of keep going like that. When it comes to the seeker, once he's actually in play, they are decent to do, and if you are very agile with the ball and naturally can hold the ball nicely, then you could potentially just get away with that and be golden with it. These hoops are going to be perfect as well, and it is most definitely utilizing as much as you can in the game to your is that my team? What's going on there? I'm on the wrong end. I was going to say, hold on a second. But yeah, utilizing every sort of play is going to be absolutely massive here. So you can obviously fake out the keeper, and it's nearly a good save, to be honest. So when it comes to actually getting better at the game, I would normally practice with just one position. Like for instance, say your keeping isn't great, I would just put it on a relatively high difficulty and just practice this in one, really. Just practice you playing as the goalie. Then the next match, maybe you look at the beater, seeing, okay, how do I utilize myself in the best manner? Is it by naturally just having to summon the bludger every time and then managing to get yourselves on that hit, so just managing to then get the kind of ground hit rather than necessarily with the beater itself, because naturally I can whack people like this with the club as such, and then obviously I can send out the beater as well. So for instance, we could knock him, so then for instance he could potentially not knock off one of ours. When it comes to the seeker, obviously it is you versus the other seeker, and you can knock them off as well. That's going to be a big thing to be able to try and do. You can obviously bump in this as well and just naturally get to it before they do. Now, if you are against a good seeker, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, and again, it's going to take practice for it. But it is possible to level up your game by just kind of being one person. It doesn't necessarily take you out the game for not utilizing every position, and if you can get your swaps in order really quickly, that would be absolutely ideal. I have completely lost it. Bludger incoming, good dodge. Managed to have good reactions like that as well is going to be an absolute key in this. So we can see he's going to come in. and we can get the snitch there. Beautiful. So that's going to be just what you could utilize to get even more points. Then you can obviously change back to a chaser, and you can continue your reign there. So for instance, we're going to get this ball, take it straight down. You could even swap at this point and let your computer do it. Bish bash bosh, there's another goal. Change to the beta, make sure you summon in. And as you go up the more kind of difficult route, that's where this is going to become in a little bit more on the kind of aggressive side, and you're really going to have to kind of really swap the positions you're going for, because naturally they're going to be utilizing as much positions as possible. So for instance, knocking the goalie out is going to be a huge one, taking the seeker out so they don't get the kind of added bonus points. That's going to be absolutely huge, and being able to pass as well is going to be a big one. That is kind of a huge one, especially when it comes to being online. Online's just massive for being perfect on the ball and being able to be a good teammate as such. So when it comes to kind of tips and tricks, a lot of it is practice. It is a very unorthodox game. It's not necessarily one that everybody is used to, because naturally it's one of the modes that I'm surprised they've even managed to make a relatively competent game, to be honest. So let me know down below if you've managed to kind of have some enjoyment out of it. There's a few things with the game that I think could have been a little bit better, but then also there could have been a lot more worse with the game.